Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking the code on one of philosophy's most profound and, let's be honest, challenging texts, a work that was literally designed to unify an entire universe of thought. So, let's start with a puzzle. Imagine you have this collection of the most sacred, wisest texts you can find. We're talking about the ancient Upanishads. They are just overflowing with incredible wisdom about the nature of reality. But as you're reading them, you start to notice something pretty unsettling. A lot of the ideas in there seem to be in direct conflict with each other. You can see how this would create a huge intellectual and even spiritual challenge for ancient thinkers. I mean, how could all of these sacred texts, which are all supposed to be revealed truth, be correct at the same time if they don't seem to agree with each other? It's a real problem. On one hand, you've got these unbelievably deep statements about the self, about the universe, and where it all comes from. But on the other hand, there was no single consistent system connecting them all. And this wasn't just a minor detail. It was a fundamental issue that absolutely needed a solution. Okay, and this is where our solution comes in. It's like a master key, a kind of philosophical cipher created by the brilliant sage Sri Vyasa. His goal? To unlock one single unified meaning from all of this apparent chaos. So what he did was compose the Brahma Sutras. Now, you should think of this text as a super tightly woven logical framework. It's made up of these incredibly dense, short statements. They're called aphorisms, and they were specifically designed to take all those conflicting ideas from the Upanishads, reconcile them, and organize everything into one cohesive philosophy. The system of thought, drawn straight from the Upanishads, is what we now call Vedanta. And the sutras themselves aren't just a random collection of thoughts. They are meticulously organized. There are 4 chapters, and they build a complete philosophical argument, step by step. It kicks off with Samanvaya, which basically means harmony. It brings all the texts together to show they're all pointing to one truth. Then you get Avirodha, or non-contradiction, which proves this unified view doesn't clash with other logical systems. The third step is Sadhanana, which lays out the actual spiritual path to experience this truth for yourself. And finally, Phala, which describes the fruit, the amazing result of that whole journey. It is just a masterclass in structured thinking. So, after all that reconciling and all that structuring, what is it? What's the one single consistent truth that the sutras reveal? What is everything pointing to? Well, the sutras define it in their very second aphorism. The one reality is Brahman, and Brahman is the ultimate, singular, intelligent source from which the entire universe is born, the force by which it's sustained, and the reality into which it eventually dissolves. It's the absolute ground of all being. Now, this is where things get really clever. The sutras handle a potential contradiction within the idea of Brahman itself by giving us 2 aspects. On one side, you've got Nirguna Brahman. That's the absolute in its purest state, totally formless, without any qualities. It's the object of deep philosophical knowledge. But then, on the other side, you have Saguna Brahman. This is the same absolute, but now it's viewed with attributes. You know, as a creator, a personal god, this makes it the object of devotion and worship. It's 2 ways of looking at the same one thing. And this is absolutely crucial. The whole point of this philosophical system isn't just about performing rituals or doing good deeds. The ultimate goal isn't something you do, it's something you know. It is a profound, life-altering shift in your understanding, the direct realization that your true self is, and actually always has been, identical with this ultimate reality, Brahman. But you know, a philosophy this revolutionary doesn't just show up in a vacuum. To really establish its truth, it had to step into the intellectual arena and defend itself against every other major school of thought at the time. This second chapter of the Brahma Sutras basically turns into a master debater. It takes on all the major competing theories about where the universe came from, and it systematically analyzes their arguments and then, one by one, logically refutes them. It's all about clearing the path for its own central idea to stand unopposed. And the list of opponents is, well, it's impressive. The sutras engage in this intense intellectual combat, dismantling these competing worldviews. For instance, they took on the atomists who said the universe was just a bunch of particles, and they refuted various Buddhist schools that had very different ideas about what's real. But their main rival was the Sankhya school. Sankhya argued that an unconscious material nature, they called it pradhana, was the real cause of the universe. And that, of course, was a direct challenge to the idea of an intelligent, conscious Brahman. Okay, so the puzzle of the texts has been solved, and the truth has been defended against all its rivals. But what's the ultimate payoff here? Why does all of this deep philosophical heavy lifting actually matter to an individual, to you or me? According to the sutras, the core human problem boils down to one word, avidya, which we translate as ignorance. But it's a very specific kind of ignorance. It's basically a fundamental case of mistaken identity. It's when we incorrectly believe that our true self is this limited body, this constantly changing mind, and these unreliable senses. This misidentification is seen as the root cause of all our suffering. And this leads to a really critical distinction between action and knowledge. See, any action, or karma, is going to produce a result. But all of those results, good or bad, are temporary. They keep you bound within the cycle of worldly existence. True knowledge, jhana, on the other hand, it doesn't just give you another temporary result. It destroys the very root of ignorance itself. And that leads to a state that is eternal, permanent. And this right here is the ultimate result, that phala, or fruit, we talked about earlier. By realizing your true nature as Brahman, that foundational ignorance is completely wiped out. The result is moksha, final emancipation. We're not just talking about a better life. This is total freedom from all suffering and from that endless cycle of worldly life, known as samsara. And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought to chew on. If the entire human predicament, all of our pain, all of our limitations, is simply the result of forgetting our true nature, what would it really take to just remember who you truly are?